A fast-moving object the size of Manhattan is hurtling towards our solar system, and it will make its closest pass to Earth on December 17th. Comet, asteroid, or something else?
Our solar system has another visitor, and this one is absolutely massive. Named 3I Atlas, this comet is the third such object we have detected to have come from interstellar space.
What does that trajectory tell you?
Well, it indicates that perhaps it was designed by some intelligence.
That's something steering it.
But is it really a comet? Some scientists believe the 3I-ATLAS could be an alien probe.
Because it has anomalies. It moves on a trajectory that is very unusual, is aligned with the orbit of the Earth around the Sun, and it will get extremely close to the inner planets.
And pre-recovery observations suggest activity. So is it a comet or an alien probe? Let's see the evidence.
Loeb says the Hubble picture appears to show the object emitting its own light. The object also appears to lack something that all comets have in common, and that's a tail.
3I-8LAS. On July the 1st, 2025, the Asteroid Terrestrial Impact Last Alert System Station, ATLAS for short, in Chile, detected something odd in the edges of our inner solar system. About 40 billion and 20 million miles away from the Sun, an object was hurtling through the solar system. Despite being rather faint, it stood out against the background clutter due to its extreme speed. Experts initially did not realize the gravity of their discovery. They gave the object a designation of A11PL3Z, awaiting further study. Then, thinking it was just an odd comet with a very eccentric path, it was given the name C2025N1. But things changed once the actual speed of this mystery object was calculated. It was speeding through space at 140,000 miles per hour, which is a hyperbolic velocity. A hyperbolic velocity basically means that the object's speed is too great to be bound by our Sun's gravity. In other words, it could not be orbiting our Sun. And since it is not orbiting our Sun, not even at an extremely elongated angle, there was only one conclusion to be made. This object did not originate from our solar system. Rather, it had come from some distant part of space. An interstellar visitor from the dark depths of the universe. And with that revelation, the name of the mysterious visitor was changed to 3I Atlas. The I designates it as interstellar, while the 3 means it is the third object of its kind to have been detected by humans, the first two being Oumuamua and Borisov. And just like those two, the 3I Atlas has also come under scrutiny for potentially having alien origins. After all, experts have found that this interstellar object has abundant amounts of water and carbon dioxide within it, both of which are essential building blocks for life. And this theory is not from tin-foil hat conspiracy theorists. Rather, it comes from respected scientists. But before we dive into that, let's first examine what makes 3I-ATLAS so unique. An adventurous journey. Due to the extreme speed of 3I Atlas, it has maintained a very high orbital eccentricity, much more than Oumuamua and Borisov. This means that it will have a pretty straight trajectory through our solar system. Its path will bend a little from the Sun's gravity, but not too much, as was the case with Oumuamua. We can trace the trajectory of 3I-ATLAS to figure out its origins. Another reason this object could not have originated from our solar system is because it never traveled close enough to any of the planets to have gained its speed. And if we track the trajectory farther back, we see that it probably came from the direction of the Sagittarius constellation near the center of our galaxy. Unfortunately, it is impossible to figure out exactly which star gave birth to 3I Atlas. During its journey, its trajectory would have been altered by so many other celestial bodies in unexpected ways. But what we do know is that it must be the product of a very old star. You see, the 3I-ATLAS is moving in the thick disk of the Milky Way galaxy. And the stars and objects in the thick disks are usually very old. Exactly how old? While our Sun is only 4.6 billion years old, 3I Atlas is believed to be somewhere between 7.6 to 14 billion years old. That makes it the oldest comet we have ever detected. 3I Atlas could be a look into the past of our solar system, unlike any other we have seen before. It holds a record of a planetary nursery of another older solar system. And who knows what we will find if we are able to access it? Will we see signs of alien life? Or could this object be an alien ship in disguise? Before we answer that, we have to first figure out where 3I Atlas is headed and what it will do in our solar system. During 3I Atlas's journey through our solar system, there are several milestones that experts are looking out for. On October 3, 2025, the object is going to fly by Mars. At just a distance of 18 million miles from the red planet, this will be the first milestone of the interstellar visitor in our solar system. This will also be our first opportunity to get a detailed look at the comet. Maven and Tianwen-1, the satellites orbiting Mars, will be able to scan the object in great detail, and what they are expected to see is rather interesting. The comet will start to glow, displaying its comet-like characteristics. The vapors will start evaporating and turn into gas, creating a tail behind the object. And as it draws closer to the Sun, this coma will extend farther and farther, until eventually the comet reaches its next stop, the Sun. On October 29th, 3Y Atlas will be at its closest to the Sun. The distance between the two will be reduced to a maximum of just 126 million miles. After reaching perihelion with the Sun and being shot out at a relatively straight angle, the 3I Atlas will do a flyby of Venus on November 3rd. Their distance from each other will be 60 million miles, and then finally, on December 19th, 2025, 3Y Atlas will pass close to Earth. Unfortunately, the distance between us will be too much for close observation. Even at its closest, it will be 167 million miles away. The last planet to get a visit from 3Y Atlas will be Jupiter on March 16, 2026. With the relatively low distance of 33 million miles between the giant planet and the interstellar object, this would provide a unique opportunity. Scientists can have the Juno spacecraft swing out of its path and get a sample of the Comet trail left behind by 3I Atlas. These samples will prove invaluable in providing insights regarding the comet's composition, origins, and physical characteristics. After passing by Jupiter, 3I Atlas will once again enter interstellar space, never to be seen by us ever again. Like a guest who stayed a while and then left us with tons of data and even more questions. But there are some questions we will get an answer to while the comet is still in our solar system. Like, what is the true nature of 3I Atlas? You see, the scientific community is split on exactly what this object is. One side states that it is simply a comet. Some experts think otherwise. They believe that 3I Atlas could potentially be a hostile alien, either a probe or perhaps even an alien ship. And pioneering this idea is a respected scientist named Avi Loeb. Loeb is an astrophysicist, a cosmologist, and a professor of science at Harvard University. Needless to say, he knows what he is talking about.
That maybe this object is a technological spacecraft. And
Loeb has been a proponent of the idea that alien crafts have been visiting our solar system relatively undetected, and he has been very vocal about his views, sharing his theory on platforms like Joe Rogan Experience and through research papers.
An object that we detected in space that you believe could possibly have been extraterrestrial.
It was the very first object that visited our vicinity in the solar system from outside the solar system.
Loeb first became famous for his views on Oumuamua, claiming that it could be an alien craft due to its anomalous characteristics. And now he is back with a focus on 3I Atlas. He and his team published a paper on July 16, 2025, soon after the discovery of 3I Atlas, which posed some interesting evidence for its alien origins. According to them, this object isn't just a probe sent by aliens as a means of exploration. Rather, they believe that 3I Atlas is a hostile alien craft here for sinister purposes. Let's take a look at the evidence. An expert's opinion. Loeb presents a lot of evidence to back up his claim that 3I Atlas is of alien origins. The first point he raises is regarding the size of this supposed comet. 3I Atlas has a nucleus that is dramatically large compared to Oumuamua and Borisov. While Oumuamua was only 0.05 to 0.5 miles in size, and Borisov was only 0.25 to 0.30 miles, the nucleus of 3I Atlas could be as large as 3.5 miles. Here is why that is important. According to Loeb, the larger size could be used to hide alien technology. While Oumuamua was theorized to just be a probe, this new interstellar visitor could be an entire ship, hence the larger mass. There is also the matter of its coma. A comet is usually surrounded by a coma, a cloud of vapors that is much larger than the nucleus itself. For 3I Atlas, its coma extends wide at nearly 435,000 miles around, and that has proven to be quite a problem. This coma glows from the sunlight hitting it, making it nearly impossible to see the nucleus within. In other words, it is serving as a cloak, shielding the inner nucleus from close observation. If that is the case, we are dealing with a very advanced civilization, one that is mimicking a comet to stay inconspicuous. And that's where Loeb's second theory comes into play. According to him, we may be witnessing the dark forest hypothesis in action. The dark forest hypothesis states that advanced civilizations hide their presence to avoid other predatory civilizations. And one way to go about doing that would be to camouflage your spacecrafts to look like natural objects, like an asteroid or a comet. Is 3I Atlas an example of that? It seems likely, especially once you look at the other evidence Loeb presents to support his alien theory. For instance, he points out that the timing at which 3I Atlas arrived in our solar system is extremely curious. The object would have entered the outermost edges of our solar system 8,000 years ago. That also happened to be around the time humanity began recording its history. Is that just a coincidence? Or did 3I Atlas arrive when humanity reached a certain milestone in its development, either making us a civilization advanced enough to approach or one advanced enough to be considered a threat? Both seem like a possibility. And then there is the travel path of 3I Atlas. It comes very close to Jupiter, Mars, Venus, and the Sun, but conveniently, it stays rather far away from Earth. This pathing, which puts it close to most inner planets other than Earth, could it be by design? According to Loeb, the chances of something like this are extremely rare. But the mystery doesn't end there. The trajectory of 3I Atlas would put it at the opposite side of the Sun compared to Earth during perihelion, its closest approach to the Sun, and that is the perfect place to hide. The only way we humans can see what's going on at the opposite side of the Sun is through our satellites orbiting other planets like Mars. And that data is not going to be nearly as detailed and thorough as what we would get from direct observations using powerful telescopes from here on Earth. So if 3I Atlas is an alien craft, and it is going to deploy some sort of probe or hostile weapons, doing it from the opposite side of the Sun will be the most effective way. Experts need to keep a close eye on this visitor, especially as it heads behind the Sun. If it stops, slows down, or even changes its trajectory, it could be a sign that humanity is under attack, or at the very least, under observation. Loeb further argues that calling 3I Ateles a comet is a mistake. According to him, the object has yet to display the chemical signatures that are common for comets. For instance, he claims that experts haven't been able to detect gases like diatomic carbon and cyanogen. If this object is a comet, it should be outputting those gases by now, confirming its nature. Loeb certainly makes a compelling case, but a majority of the scientific community disagrees with him. Theory debunked? According to experts who oppose Loeb's paper, there is plenty of evidence to suggest that 3I is just a comet and nothing more.
From images, we also saw that this object is active, which means that around the nucleus there is some coma, which is an indication that this object is in fact a comet.
Its trajectory and its unique perihelion position are just coincidences, and everything else can be explained away. 3I Atlas is a large comet for sure, but that size is still within reason. There are other comets that are of similar size, or even have a larger mass compared to 3I Atlas. For instance, the Bernardinelli-Bernstein comet discovered in 2014 has a diameter of 62 miles. And as for why we haven't been able to find certain gases being outputted by 3I Atlas, the answer is relatively simple. At the time that Loeb put out his paper, it was too early to see those. The comet was pretty cold, which meant that ice was not turning into gases just yet. Since the publication of Loeb's paper, experts have been keeping a close eye on 3I Atlas, and they have made the expected discoveries as the comet has neared the Sun. Its surface has started to heat up, kicking up the materials that are the identifiers of a comet. The James Webb Telescope identified water and carbon dioxide emitting from 3I Atlas. Swift Observatory also found evidence of water vapors and hydroxide. And recently, the Very Large Telescope identified the presence of cyanide gas and nickel vapors in the coma of 3I Atlas. All of this explains with certainty that our interstellar visitor is behaving just like a comet would. The concentration of these gases will increase as the object comes closer and closer to the Sun. Even now, a small tail is forming, which is a signature sign of a comet, and this tail will grow larger, exerting pressure on 3I Atlas, increasing its speed while decreasing its mass. But all that isn't to say that there is nothing special about 3I Atlas, because the apparent normality of this comet from interstellar space highlights the oddity of a previous interstellar object, Oumuamua. Epilogue to a mystery. The interesting thing about 3I Atlas is how similar its journey and characteristics have been to 2I Borisov. Both are objects that pass through our solar system from interstellar space, displaying all the right indications of being a comet. They had comas, trails, the correct chemical composition, the whole 9 yards. And both of them stand in stark contrast to Oumuamua. Oumuamua broke our conventional understandings of interstellar objects. Even today, experts argue over what exactly its nature was. Was it a comet, a space rock, or perhaps, if Loeb is to be believed, an alien probe? On October 19, 2017, Oumuamua was first sighted by Pan-STARRS telescope in Hawaii. Traveling at over 16 miles per second, its speed was an outlier, making it stand out from the background clutter. Just days later, the experts had realized the kind of discovery they had made. This was the first identified interstellar object we had ever seen. And since there was no separate class for interstellar objects, a new one was made with the designation I, turning Oumuamua's name from A 2017 U1 to 1I Oumuamua. But what the experts did not know was that our first encounter with an interstellar object would turn out to be the strangest. Oumuamua was a mystery from the very start. Due to its small size and the sheer amount of clutter floating around us in space, Oumuamua hadn't been identified early on in its journey through our solar system. By the time it was discovered, The object was already 21 million miles away from us, and that made direct observation nearly impossible. Was this just a failure on humanity's part to identify the object in time? Or did Oumuamua hide its presence from us? The answer varies depending on who you ask. According to Loeb, it is quite clear that Oumuamua was probably an alien craft or a probe here on a reconnaissance mission. And this claim is backed by the many strange characteristics of Oumuamua that astronomers around the globe witnessed on the scans and readings. For instance, Oumuamua received a mysterious speed boost about the time it was at its closest to the Sun. This boost defied conventional explanations since it was not gravity-assisted. And the only other explanation for this behavior would have been outgassing. When comets have their ice melted due to proximity to the Sun, the resulting gases give them a speed boost. But here is the problem. Oumuamua was no comet. It had no tail, no coma, and no signs of vapors we could detect. Scientists used the powerful Spitzer Space Telescope to get a closer look at Oumuamua, which can easily detect comet trails using infrared technology. And the readings showed clearly that there was no tail. Out of nowhere, Oumuamua had sped up with no physical residue explaining its behavior. Loeb cited it as one of the strongest evidence for Oumuamua having alien origins. According to him, the object may have been utilizing a theorized technology known as the light sails. This technology, which organizations like NASA are currently working on developing, utilizes solar radiation to gain speed. An object with relatively low mass, yet a very large surface area can, in practice, utilize solar radiation to gain speed. And such objects don't occur naturally since they would have to be paper-thin and extremely lightweight to function. But for the speed burst that Oumuamua so clearly displayed, solar sails seem to be the only possible explanation. But the speed boost wasn't the only thing weird about Oumuamua, because when the most powerful telescopes were aimed at the object to observe it closely, experts got some very strange readings. Photometry clearly showed that Oumuamua's brightness was surging to nearly 10 times its normal reading every 7.3 hours. This showed that Oumuamua had a very unconventional shape to it. It was either the shape of a cigar or that of a saucer. Additionally, it was determined that Oumuamua was tumbling at a consistent pace. When its side with the smaller surface area was directed towards us, its brightness would remain low. But when the larger surface area side was facing Earth, the brightness would surge. This theory sufficiently explained this odd brightness variation at consistent intervals. But here is the thing. While the proposed shapes of a cigar or a saucer are theoretically possible, for that to happen naturally must be extremely rare. This became another point that indicated some sort of intelligent design behind Oumuamua. And then came the most compelling piece of evidence for the alien origins theory yet. The scans from the Spitzer Space Telescope showed that Oumuamua was unbelievably reflective, 10 times more than what you would expect of a comet or an asteroid. According to Loeb, this is another indication of alien design since such a level of reflectiveness can only be achieved if Oumuamua had a layer of polished metal covering it. There is also the mysterious trajectory of the object. Oumuamua's path through our solar system was perfect for scanning and monitoring Earth. It entered the solar system from north of the plane of the ecliptic and maintained a distance of 0.16 astronomical units from Earth. That's not so far that it becomes difficult to observe Earth, and not so close that we could launch any actions against it. While Loeb's theory has remained one of the most convincing explanations for the odd behavior of Oumuamua, it obviously has its critics in the scientific community. Most experts think that assuming Oumuamua to be of alien origins is jumping the gun. they have come up with several more grounded explanations for the odd behavior of the interstellar object. One proposed theory is that of dark comets. According to this, Oumuamua was a comet, but it was of a rare kind that does not leave behind a trail, called dark comets. According to scientists, Oumuamua contained molecular hydrogen ice. When it was heated up by the sun, it was expelled out of the comet's nucleus like jets. This phenomenon pushed Oumuamua, giving it a speed burst. But why wasn't it detected? Well, molecular hydrogen is not detectable by telescopes, as there is no comet trail left behind. It is a decent enough alternative explanation. But there are several problems with this theory. First of all, molecular hydrogen ice is very unstable and fragile, so much so that it wouldn't have survived the lengthy interstellar journey that Oumuamua is believed to have gone through to reach us. Secondly, a large portion of Oumuamua's surface would have to be made up of molecular hydrogen ice to explain the speed boost it got. And that simply wasn't the case, according to the readings we have regarding the likely composition of Oumuamua. The scientific community is split. While some believe we have cracked the code behind Oumuamua's strange behavior with the dark comet theory, others stand with Loeb, saying we just don't know enough to rule out the possibility of alien design. Though there is one way to resolve this conflict: Project Lyra. Project Lyra is a proposed mission with an ambitious aim of catching up to Oumuamua. The probe will be launched from Earth, and it will head for Jupiter to get a gravity boost. From there, it will be directed towards the Sun, which will give it a more significant boost, allowing it to gain a speed of over 20 astronomical units per year. That would be sufficient to catch up to Oumuamua and conduct scans we couldn't conduct earlier. However, such a mission is currently beyond our technological capabilities. It would require us to develop and perfect theorized technologies, like even more powerful propulsion systems and heat shields that can survive the proposed flyby of the Sun. Not only that, but such a mission can only be conducted decades from now when the orbits of the planets are just right. But will we be ready in time when the Earth, Jupiter, and the Sun are lined up perfectly? It is doubtful. Instead, experts think we should focus on a different approach to understanding interstellar visitors. Instead of chasing after Oumuamua, we should be better prepared to intercept the next such object to enter our solar system. And we are certainly getting there, since 3D Atlas was identified much earlier in its path than Oumuamua was back in 2017. Which approach is the best in your opinion? To chase after Oumuamua, or to prepare for the next interstellar oddity? Let me know in the comments down below. I would love to hear your thoughts.